Hey everybody, it's Simone. I'm here with Bella Crystal, and today we are going to be communicating with the 56. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you're new to these soul conversations, we are sponsored by the 64 Doors and Unlock Your Design. And we've had a lot of questions. Well, we've been super excited about everybody who has joined us. Thank you so much. We love it when people join us and have great questions. And people have been asking about how to participate, whether it's live or recorded. Bella, why don't you share a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, so usually we go live on Mondays, 4 p.m. Eastern time, but sometimes it changes. So that's why we do post in different groups. And then if you come on right now, if you're like spontaneously on, please leave a comment. Let us know that you're here. I am a generator. So I love when there's interaction, when we can actually live respond to you. And what we're doing is that we are channeling the soul consciousness of Gene Key 56 or Gate 56. So it's like if you know anything, or if you know a lot, or if you don't know anything at all, is a great opportunity to learn about the Gate 56 or Gene Key 56 by asking questions that are not in the book. So that's why I can think of some questions, but it's so much more valuable that when we together actually tune in. So that's kind of what I want to say. And also, if you think that if somebody you know has the 56 and you want to share it with them, don't hesitate to share it or tag them, or because it is all about sharing. It's all about a new way of approaching the Gene Keys and human design that is much more one way creative, and knowing that the transmission is a living transmission, and that we can actually, Simone is a pro. Of course, you're gonna if you haven't watched it before, you're gonna see and feel that, but we all have this opportunity and this ability to tap in to the Gene Keys and to have the transmission, the wisdom coming through us. So this is just a really beautiful role modeling that we're going to do today, but also knowing that this wisdom is in all of us. And hey, Lisa, and hey, Sandra, or Erna. So already people are on. This is super cool.
That's exciting. I love it. All right. Well, why don't we get started? Unless anybody has any questions before we start, people who are with us, we can just go ahead and get started. I'd like to communicate with the archetype of the soul of the 56. Will you communicate with me? The first thing I see, it's almost like a what you might see in the country by a mailbox. Like there's a container, and there's this kind of like wildflower growing out of it, and some of it is it almost looks like a strawberry pot where there's place to plant at the top, and there's kind of holes in it, and so some of it's dirt and some of it is flowers growing, and it almost looks like a pump for a well that might have been recreated and repurposed for this demarcation of a place. And now the 56 kind of leaps out from behind this happy kind of wild place, and everything got really alive. Like everything bloomed suddenly. The background trees, flowers are blooming, and he's dressed like a clown, which is kind of interesting to see a clown like costume in nature. And he's just super happy to be on his journey, and he's really dressed like a clown, like the clown nose, the clown shoes. And so it's just interesting to see a clown walking through nature. But he's serious. So even though he's dressed like a clown, he's like, come with me, and let's, like he looks at me with seriousness. So there's the substance inside of him, and he's on a mission, and he's taken me to a whole different place. And it's like we walk to the edge of if we were in Scotland or something, where we walk to the edge of the grassy field, and then there's a cliff, and there's just the expanse of ocean in front of us, and there is the waves crashing below us. And as I'm standing there with him, it's an interesting feeling, because it feels like, all the groundedness of Mother Nature behind us. And in front of us, I can hear the crashing of the waves, and I can feel the wind. And it is a very peaceful spot to contemplate. And yet all of the all but fire of the elements are with us. And so there's a lot of movement. So where do you find the how do you find the peace within the sound of the crashing waves, the sound and the feeling of wind blowing, and then this grounded feeling of peace? And he looked at me and he nodded his head. And now we're walking away. It's like we're going to a different place. It feels like we're going up the mountain, like up the craggy mountain. And he transformed into first a butterfly, and then a falcon. And I'm riding with him. As we look on at the landscape below, I can see the ocean, I can see the cities below, and then we transformed into the peace dove, and we are flying right to the sun. And then now he's landed back in the general area that we started from, and he says, transformation is inevitable. We are always transforming. We are always in the process of becoming. That's what this life is about. And that to not transform is stagnation. And he says the thing about stagnation and not growing, or the choice to not grow, he brings me back to that planter that we first saw. And it's like half alive, where the flowers are blooming, and half just potential. It's like the soil is potential. It's the holding space. But he's saying that the thing about stagnation and not planting your seed and growing is that it's not only about you, it's about everyone. When we all aren't in the process of transformation, we are creating stagnation in the collective, in the consciousness field. And so he says, I share this with you because it's not about just your growth or each other's growth. It's truly about the transformation of Gaia, the continual transformation of Gaia, of the divine body of Gaia, and also of consciousness. And so he says it doesn't matter what rate you transform at, it's the embracing of the transformative process of living in life. And that can be as simple as understanding that things in life change and not resisting it. And it can also mean embracing it and being a part of it, intentionally, consciously engaging with your own transformation of the body and the soul, and the unified body and soul. And he is showing me how the more intentional we are about our acceptance, understanding, and even co-creation with transformation, it's almost spontaneous. Because what he showed me was that's when the peace dove kind of flew out of what I was seeing. So just the mere contemplation of transformation as a part of life can create spontaneity. And when I'm seeing that peace dove fly out of this, what I felt like in my body was the spontaneous transformation of my DNA. So that it went from, it in that image, he brought it all together. It's like body, mind, and spirit transforms simply through the contemplation of that. Whether that's you're walking out in nature and you are just completely entranced, intoxicated by the process of walking down a country lane, seeing the water, climbing a mountain, watching the birds, looking at plants, dressing however you want to dress, and that freedom of spirit and that freedom of being swept away by wherever you are. He says that's a contemplation when you acknowledge it all, when you're with the energy of it. There's an ecstatic nature of grace, of when you are communing with the grass. And when he shows me that, it's like I'm literally touching the grass and I have the experience of grass, the joyfulness of grass. I can literally feel the photosynthesis process moving through that plant and through me, and the way that vibration moves through me, it just feels like it excites me, it awakens me, it excites me. It's and that propels me forward to go to run down back to the water and to the cliff and to feel the spray and to be with the spray of the water and the sound of the water and the feel of the wind and the flight of the bird. It just all kind of sweeps me away in the contemplation of it, the awareness of it, the acknowledgement of the magic of it, of the grace of it, of the blessing of it. And the 56th, then it's almost like the Sound of Music, where he like turns around on the grass. He's like spinning and he's embracing it all into himself. So almost like it reminds me of the ecstatic dance of the Sufis, where they do the scarf dancing. He's out there in nature and it's like he's dancing with all of the elements out in nature and himself. He says, don't forget that you are part of nature, that you're a part of it and it's a part of you when you have this communion of sorts, of a communion of experience. And this transforms us when we have these experiences in nature. And he says, I'm not excluding people who live in cities, because you can literally have that experience with yourself and a vase of flowers, a pot plant, the beauty you've created in your home, how you dress yourself, what you design for yourself. It is any creation, a creative life force. And as I'm experiencing all these things he's showing me, the word liberation flew out. And there, I felt the liberation of that, of the beingness and the experience of the word truth flew out. Like the grass is true, the air is true, the water is true, the plant is true. The clothing you wear, how you dress yourself, what you create, it's all true. And to delight in the experience of it. I'm a bit swept away by having, because I'm literally in my body feeling everything that he's describing, and I'm a bit swept away. Like I lost, for a minute I was in the ecstatic moment of all of this kind of delightfulness and the contemplation. And he says for all of us just to be with it for a minute. So let's just be with all the energy that he's bringing to sharing with us. He says we're all a part of it. Everyone here who's live with us, the nature that showed up, him, any person who is going to listen. It's like we're all here. And he says, let's be with it for a minute. Let's just experience it and share the love. And so what he's now showing is, as we just sit here in this the beauty of this, just allow that, breathe it through your heart, breathe it out to the world around us. And it's like as we settle in and take in this experience and we breathe it out to love, it's like we're enriching the soil of consciousness of if consciousness is the soil of our spiritual work, by us breathing this in, it's like a soil enhancer and soil enricher. We are just enriching the field with our love and our experience and our contemplation. And I can actually see, as we are breathing, how it changes the light codes of the world. What a delightful experience to share with each of you. So, thank you for breathing love with us today and the 56. And he goes, okay, now I'll take your questions. He's super happy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so for people that are new on the live, we are speaking with the soul archetype of Gene Key 56 or Gate 56. And this is what came through today, what wanted to be channeled through you, Simone. And I mean, I always kind of feel both the sides, of kind of like how gray a normal day can look and then how much bliss there can be in moment and how timeless there is. Like I'm looking at the minutes and like, where did 17 minutes go? Because for me, I was just feeling and I don't even have the 56 in my hologenetic profile or my gene keys. I don't know if I have, like, I could go down to that kind of thing again and ask you questions from that. But today I'm kind of swept away too. I don't really want to kind of play the devil's advocate and say, like, what about when it feels different? I mean, I feel like the sensations are something that is so simple, like just a warm foot bath or something, and then we are there right away. So maybe, I mean, again, maybe those practical things like, yeah, I know, you can be in a city, but what are beautiful things to enrich our sensations with, how to tap into it naturally or, with ease. More tips for us, I would say.
Oh, when you asked that question, the first thing he showed me was like the feel of paper, like writing paper. And he showed me like a handwriting on really lovely paper, and I could feel the paper and I could feel the glide of the pen. So, it's like this simple pleasure of writing is one. And when you were talking about the foot bath, I could feel the salt, my body co-creating with the water and the salt, and how nourishing that was. And he, that now he's showing me just like sipping water and just really delighting in the sip of the water and being grateful for the water. And now he's doing a lot of touch things. It's like touching the fabric of the clothes you wear and really engaging with the fiber on your body. And now he's showing it to me in smells, and he's showing me, like literally smell the flowers. If you're walking by flowers in the grocery store in a city, lean over, smell them, engage with them. Smell the food, pick up a lemon and literally smell the lemon. Smell the trees. He says, love is all around you, all around you. And it's really just about engaging with it. And he says it's like, he's taking me back to the writing. It's not so much the feel of the paper or the glide of the pen. It's how you feel when you're writing that thing. How do you feel when you pick up a lemon and smell it? How do you feel when you speak to someone with kindness? Imagine a rose coming out with your words and your words touching another person's skin like a rose or a lemon. Like the softness of salt water.
Mm-hmm. I have another question now, because I can see how both in the kind of new age and the spiritual world, and also in the world that is more dormant, there is something with the physical body where often it's not appreciated. We think the mental body is more intelligent, or that spirituality or spirit is a higher frequency. So could the 56 be a bridge back to the magic of the body, and back to the magic of the sensations that we can have through this senses, and the elements that we interact with, and what are the advices to come back to understanding, feeling, experiencing, embracing the magic of the vehicle that so often I feel is forgotten?
Well, what he says is, if you ask people what were their favorite experiences in life, most of the time they involve place, they involve being in nature, going on some trip and seeing something. They involve being, birthing, being, that time you were with all of your friends and you laughed so hard. So he's showing that many people's top experiences, most memorable experiences, were with their body somewhere in an environment, in nature, or with people. And he says, look at the groundedness of the body.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask people what their most powerful experience is, most of the time they're not going to say, oh, that day I was laying on my sofa reading a book. And he says, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with reading a book. Now, they might say, oh, that day I was on the top of the mountain and I sat there and I looked, and then I laid down and I had my back on the earth and I read a while and I sang a while, or I did whatever I did, right? I had a picnic lunch, but those times where we're out in nature with other people laughing, he says it's the full embodiment. It's that in these experiences we have this awareness of our full embodiment.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that's the tipping point, if you will.
So why is it so hard to do that when we are not on a journey or not in vacation? What is distracting us? Because that's even the shadow frequency of this gene is part of the ring of trials, where we have distractions, we have forgetting why we're even here, and we have vanity. Those are the three shadows that are keeping us in a place of not transforming, of not evolving. So is there anything to say about that, and how kind of powerful that codon ring is, that stopping us from initiating at a higher frequency?
Well, he says one way to say it is people are too busy to be embodied. Too busy to be embodied.
Mm-hmm.
And that they get swept away in their minds, and they, vacation is the time where you set aside to go and be embodied. And he says, what I'm challenging you to do is be embodied every day in your day-to-day tasks, in your, in your grocery shopping, in your work, in the way you speak to each other. He says you can be embodied in as a way of life, as a way of being. It's the intention of that. He says, what would happen if people woke up and they said, you know what, I am going to embrace my day and feel my embodiment throughout my day. What does brushing my teeth feel like? Do I like what I'm brushing my teeth with? What am I wearing today? Do I love the feel of what I'm putting on, the color of what I'm putting on? What am I drinking today? What am I eating today? Am I eating live? Am I taking the time to eat live food, to eat, nourishing food? Am I drinking clean water today? Or am I grateful for the water that I get to experience today? The people that I encounter today, when I speak with them, am I going to intentionalize that I am present with them, and that I notice them? And he says, if you weren't in these times where you you may wave from a distance or just touch an elbow, if we weren't in the pandemic, he says, I would say, notice how you shake another person's hand or how you hug them. Are you doing that with presence and intention? Or are you just, is it something you forget? And as he says that, I think about all the times that I drove to work. I used to drive to work 45 minutes, 50 minutes, because I lived way in the country. And I'd get to my office and I'd be like, how did I even get here? I didn't even remember, the drive. I was so in my head, I might have been meditating, or I might have just been, but I had no memory of it when I got to my job. And he said, he's saying it's the presence, the choice to be present in your day. And he says, it doesn't matter where you do that. If you said to yourself, today I'm going to have a vacation at work. And what does that mean? I'm going to be present. I'm not going to rush through my day with each task I have. I'm going to be present with it. And he says, notice what you don't want to be present with. You're through your day, you're going through your day and you're working, and what part of your day do you not want to be present with? And really pay attention to that. He says, you might even start tracking that, morning, happy face, afternoon, sad face, if the sad faces become more than the happy faces, what are you doing? How are you using your life force? Are you in the phase of perpetual forgetting because you don't want to remember, because it's not the place you really truly want to be embodied. And so, there's intention.
I would like to ask about sexuality, because he was speaking about this ecstatics, right? And I feel like the intoxication, the acidic frequency of this gene key has a lot to do with that kind of intoxication. And I can see also how sexuality without presence, or sexuality as distraction, could be destructive. So could he speak to us about that, and how to live it, how to embody it, what advice is there?
Yeah, he's showing me all kinds of things, but one of them is, if you have this sexual experience and you don't want to remember it, or you're not even present as you're partaking in it, he says, why are you doing it? What are you escaping from? He says, notice when you're engaging with another person, whether you are in sexual union or consciousness union, how you're engaging with the other person. Are you present? Are you present with yourself? How do you feel in your body when you are making love?
Mm-hmm.
How are you breathing through this experience? What are all the things you notice? Is it like when we stood on the cliff and we looked out at the ocean and we could hear the waves crashing and we could feel the wind touching our skin and we were aware of the groundedness of peace? Are you having that, are you that present in the experience that you're noticing how things smell, how things feel, depending on your own design and what is important in your own design, because different people have different sensational awarenesses. But for you, are you, feeling, seeing, touching, or how present are you? What does it feel like in your body? Are you breathing? What's the energetic? It's like the energetic field that's been being created from the engagement. It's not just your energy, it's not just the other person's energy, it's the union, when your energies come together, what is being created and how does that feel to you? Is it blissful? Or do you want to, is it something you want to forget? Are you present? Or are you somewhere else? He says, I would encourage you to pay attention to all of these things because they are, they denote something. They're telling you something. But if you're not present in the experience, or if you're just using the experience he says, to run away. He's like, how many people run up the mountain just to run up the mountain? Or how many people are running up the mountain and realizing, they're being present with their body and they're being present with the mountain and everything around them. He says it's the same thing with sexual engagement. Whether you're running up the mountain with no awareness or whether you're sleeping with someone with no awareness, that, it creates the same, a similar pattern, just a different layer of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question, Bella?
Yeah, it does. And it actually feels like it's valid both if you are in a relationship and if you're not in a relationship. You can be actually very not present even with your long-term partner, maybe sometimes more because you take them for granted. And if it's just a one night thing, you don't want to remember it, but you at least want to have a nice moment with that person. So I feel like it's something that, there is nobody, like for all of us, it's something important to think about. Yeah. And I don't think we have any questions. If you have questions, please write them now because we are a little bit over half hour. Simone, is there anything else that comes through if you ask?
He just says that he really appreciates the presence of everyone with us today and for slowing down your breath and really taking in the transmission that he gave us. And he says that he hopes that we apply the presence that he brought to our days, to our lives, to our contemplations. And that we notice how that helps us transform. That how presence helps us have the transformational experience. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that as he's talking to me, he's so present with me. He's completely slowed me down. Like completely just slowed me down. And so it's really, really beautiful. So I'm just asking him if he has anything else, and he started to spin and that dance. And he's saying that he'll come back and talk to us anytime we like. And he wishes us all peace, harmony with our transformational processes of change and activating our DNA. But he also said the codon ring. So which codon ring is he in? Because he's mentioning the codon ring.
Yeah, this one is probably one of the most powerful. Those are what we call stop codons, and it's the codon ring of trials. So these three trials that keeps us kind of stuck, running around like crazy people instead of transforming. So vanity, distractions, and forgetting. Those three together. But the higher frequencies are all about discrimination, what is good for us, discrimination, and to be present, and then the enrichment and the revelation or the mindfulness in everything we do. So we can see that he actually spoke about the gift frequencies of the 33, the 12, and the 56.
Yeah, and he's saying that he would like for us, as we contemplate the 56, to do it in the context of the codon ring.
Right. Yeah.
And to, it's like there's a harmonic that occurs when we contemplate that codon ring all together. So if contemplating the 56 by itself is here, it actually becomes multidimensional when you contemplate that whole codon ring together. And so he says, he feels like you will be pleased by your contemplation when you experience the collective of that codon ring.
Yeah, and we are going to be in the 33 in just 2 weeks. So it probably might be about, because that is about the forgetting, and then how do we become mindful enough to have those revelations, and how are we able to retreat and pause from this constant stream of information. And so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he says even with that image that you were saying, the constant stream of information, he showed it to me. Like he showed me a person in the stream of information. And he's like, just be present with that and have the experience. Oh, there's so much coming out me. And what does that feel like? And how does that feel? And is that what you want to continue choosing? If you like it, go for it. You know, if you want to shift something, then shift it. It's all, it's all about what you would really like to have present.
There was something so powerful in the beginning that when he said it's not about the rate of transformation, it's about the intention, which is like sometimes where I feel when we do kind of put spirituality or awareness on a pedestal, but we forget about the body and the feeling and the sensations, thinking that is less like less.
I love Louise is with us. Louise is with us, and Louise is our numerology extraordinaire, co-creator. And I love how he is showing us that the 56 equals 11, and then the joining, the union of the codon ring is 11. So now when I see 11, I'm going to always think of this, the stop codon ring and this master number 11. And I love that. Thanks, Louise, for sharing that with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Should we thank the conscious, the 56?
Yeah, let's just say thank you to the 56. And so peaceful. And then he just kind of became mist and then a white dove and flew off. So thank you so much for joining Bella and I for this conversation, this soul conversation with the 56. It was so much fun. I feel so peaceful in my body and so present, and I'm so grateful for that. It was lovely, lovely, lovely. And we hope you'll continue joining us. Bella, you want to let everybody know?
Yeah, I mean, if you liked it, share it, tag somebody, and look out for when we come on next. Usually it's on Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And, you know, Simone, I never speak slow. So there's something happening here. I'm really, I'm surprised by myself.
You just calmed us all right down into our bodies, which is really beautiful, right? To have that experience of presence with our own bodies. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, and hopefully see you next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.